What's good, you guys? We're back again with another video. Like I told you guys in my last video, when I come back, my setup's gonna look completely different. I moved my desk to the middle. As you can see, I painted my entire room. I got some new lights. Still not done yet. I want to put some posters back there. I have this one Kobe jersey that I don't wear that often, and I'm just gonna put it in like a frame and hang it up just to make the setup look more nice. Because setups are a big part of YouTube, so I'm just trying to take this serious, a little bit more serious. So thank y'all for being patient. I haven't uploaded in a week, but what we will talk about today is we will talk about my contenders, man. I only feel like it's a few contenders, but I do want to put it in tiers, just basically with all the playoff teams. Some teams we'll talk about more, some teams we'll talk about less. That's just obvious because what do I look like talking about the Pelicans and they're in the play-in? Like, of course they're not contenders, but if they get Zion back, the way BI is looking, maybe, but that's just besides the point. We'll talk about them for a little bit. But before we get to the video, make sure you like, subscribe, share with your friends. I'm officially back. We'll be getting more uploads in this next coming week, so like and subscribe. We're going to start off in the third tier, which is basically just they're happy to be here, whether it's the play-in or the playoffs. Just the Bulls, Raptors, Hawks, Heat, Nets, Knicks. On the other side, you got the Mavs if they get there, the Thunder, the Pels, the Timberwolves, the Lakers. They're all just happy to be there. They're happy to be in playoff contention or even be in the playoffs. There's really no need to go fully in depth with them because they're not going to make no noise. And yes, I said the Lakers. They're not going to make no noise. The next tier. Now, this one's kind of hard because I have one team in here that I wanted to raise, but it just off of past history that I couldn't really do that. So this tier is the sleepers tier, and one team we got is the 76ers, the next team is the Cavs, next team after that, is the Kings, and the teams after that to round up this tier is the Grizzlies. So to talk about the 76ers first, the reason why I don't have them in the second tier is I think people haven't really done their research on this whole James Harden injury. It's like ACL soreness, and like if you go back to time who else had ACL soreness, I think it was last year, the year before that. Mike Conley had ACL soreness right before the playoffs and came back and he played terrible. And he had to get a whole procedure in the offseason. Not saying that will affect James Harden the same way, but it's just kind of like last year with James Harden. He was dealing with a hamstring injury that kind of stopped him from being who we actually know James Harden is. And then when you just look at the team, I always have my questions about them. Like, I'm going to take away my bias and say I believe in Joel Embiid this year. This looks like a completely different guy. But like Tyrese Maxey, is he going to show up every game? PJ Tucker, DeAnthony Melton, Georges Niang, guys that they need to hit shots. Are they going to hit their shots? Tobias Harris, is he going to hit his shots? I do feel like he's gotten a lesser role this year where he's just spot-up shooter and they need buckets when James Harden is out, Tyrese is out, then he'll get his buckets. But most of the time when he's playing with the fully healthy team, he's a spot-up shooter. And I feel like that's helped him. But is he going to hit his shots in the playoffs? Because we know him. When it comes to playoffs, he's not the best. So that's one of my questions. And then you obviously got the questions in Doc Rivers. You got the questions in Joel Embiid stuff because it seems like every time they get to a point where they need him, he's either hurt or he just doesn't show up. And I feel like we don't hold him accountable enough. So this is his year. He should go to the finals. He should. But I'm going to give him, here's me, giving him a little slack because I know who Joel Embiid is. We always give him slack. I mean, we always give him a little leeway because it's just shit happens. But, hey, that's one team. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the Kings. The reason why I said the Kings is I just don't feel like it's a juggernaut in the West. Like, yes, the Nuggets are very good. But a team like the Kings can beat the Nuggets. Just because the way the Nuggets defense is, and I know you're going to say, oh, the Nuggets have a top 15 defense. There's the obvious difference between a defense in the playoffs and in the regular season. Prime example, the 3 years Rudy Gobert won the Defense Player of the Year, they had the best defense by far. Not saying he was a fluke or nothing, but when it got to the playoffs, they got exposed every single year. Not saying this will happen to Jokic, but you look at the way he likes to play defense. They like to play in the drop a lot. You cannot do that with a team like the Kings. And they will make you pay because they have the shooters in Kevin Huerter. They have the shooters in Malik Monk, Terrence Davis, Keegan Murray. Even as of late, Davion Mitchell has been shooting the ball. You still have De'Aaron Fox who can attack you off drop coverage with the mid-range shot. And that's something that he's added to his game to help him in situations like that. So I just feel like they can beat the Nuggets. You go to the Suns, that would be a hard matchup, but what am I to say that they can't beat them? They've been consistent this whole year. The Suns have been in and out with injuries. We don't know, even though KD is so plug and play. We don't know, because now we always say KD is plug and play, and I get that. But there's other factors. Of course, him and Depot, they're going to do their thing. Is Chris Paul going to be? I don't even want to say Chris Paul, but is he going to be playable? Like, if he's not hitting his shots and he's not playmaking and he's getting killed on defense, like, what is he doing? And I know I just took away everything, but like, we've seen times where he's not hitting his shots, he's not playing defense. He'll play make, but still at times it seemed like he's just a liability. And then DeAndre Ayton, what DeAndre Ayton are we going to get? That's the big question. Because if he's able to accept his role, then cool. But if he wants some post touches and he's just out of the game mentally, if he's not getting the post touches, that's a liability. And then their depth. I love their depth, but it's questionable. So, those are major questions for the Suns. And I feel like with a team like the Kings, who've been consistent the whole year, that would be a hard matchup. We look at other teams like the Warriors, that's a hard matchup. The Clippers, that would just be a fun series, but that's a hard matchup for the Clippers. I just feel like we shouldn't count out the Kings and use that experience excuse like we've never seen a team with little to no experience go far in the playoffs. It's just, this team is a good team. In the part where they need experience, the coach, they have that. They have one of the best coaches in the league. So that's why I'm not really holding up. Like last year, we can use that experience thing with the Timberwolves. Who's their coach? Chris Finch. When was he ever a head coach in the playoffs? When was he ever one of the best coaches in the league? Same thing with the Grizzlies. Who's their coach? Taylor Jenkins. He's become a great coach now, but last year, the last 2 years, he's always been a rookie head coach. Mike Brown has been through these moments. Even if he wasn't a head coach in the playoff, this nigga was with a dynasty for the whole time. And he was a main part of the dynasty. And he carried that same system. He carried that same system, brought it with him, and put it in his team. This team is good. They shouldn't be this damn good. And that's Mike Brown. That's why I have so much faith in them. So they're there. The Grizzlies, same thing. I'm very critical of the Grizzlies, but they are hitting the strides at the right time. Jaren Jackson looking good. Desmond Bane is getting the better. Dylan Brooks is shooting above 40%. And we love to hate him, but he is a good defender. John Morant, I have no questions about him in the playoffs. I do have questions about the jump shot, but I've been watching some tape, and the jump shot goes up in the playoffs. Now, it has been a very small sample size, but you got to respect it. It's John Morant. So, they can come out here and surprise him. It's harder to come out the East than it is the West. I look at teams like the Cavs, and you look at the top team in the Bucks, they can't beat the Bucks at all. But you go on to the other side, we look at top teams like the Nuggets. And you look at a young team like the Grizzlies, you're like, yeah, it's a possibility. It's so much easier to get out the West. So that's where most of my stuff is coming on. And then for the last team with the sleepers, the Cavs, like I said, everything has to go perfect. It has to. Like, we win the first series, cool, then we got to play some Bucks. It's not going to happen. I don't think we're going to beat them, but I just wanted to put my team here because I do feel like we are a sleeper contender. But we got a hard spot. We got a hard way to get out, but we do have a very good top four. And, hey, when there's little to no depth matters in the playoffs, that can get you somewhere. But now my next tier is the it can happen tier, which basically is like, yeah, they can get it and I won't be surprised. Like the sleepers tier, they're sleepers, but I'll be very surprised if they win the championship. But this tier right here, it can happen. And I'll understand if it happens. The first team is the Warriors, the second team is the Suns, and the third team is the Nuggets. Now, for the Warriors, I'm not going to lie. Most of it just has to do with Steph Curry. I think Steph Curry is the second best player in the world. I think he's the only argument for Giannis, even though I don't feel like it's an argument. He's the only one that's even close. Shout out to Jokic, shout out to Luka, shout out to KD. They're not there. It's just Steph. He's an alien, bro. We don't call too many people aliens. He's an alien. And another part of my faith with the Warriors is, yes, they're former champs since last year. And since 2014, fully healthy, Draymond, Steph, and Klay have not lost a series. So, yeah, that's like a little stat. But, like, yo, that means something that they've just been this dominant for damn near 10 years. Just been this dominant to where when they're fully healthy, they're not losing. So I just see that, and we all know once they get to the playoffs, they step everything up. Their offense, who's always an all-time offense, just steps up in the playoffs. Their defense always steps up. The rotation gets little, and I think people like to act like this team doesn't have a decent bench. This bench is decent. Once they get fully healthy, of course, Andrew Wiggins won't be back probably, but you're gonna have Dante DiVincenzo coming off the bench, Gary Payne Jr., Jordan Poole. You're going to have JaMychal Green, who, since he's came back from his injury, has been an NBA player. Because before, I'm not going to lie, he was looking at seeing his way out the league. But they have a good team. And then when you have that top four, and yes, I'm adding Kevin Looney to the top four, because he fits so perfectly. They could have went out there and got a better center. They could have went and got a Miles Turner. It's just no need. Especially with him, who's been playing with this core for the last 3-5 years. I don't know why I said 3-5. But he's been here for a long time. That's why he has 3 championships. He just fits so perfectly. He knows how to play with these guys. So I'm going to add him in there. And we all know he steps up his game in the playoffs. And he was a big part of them winning the championship last year. I think they found a piece, in which I forgot when I talked about their bench, and Jonathan Kuminga. He's been elite on defense, and I don't like to give that elite tag to everybody, but he's been elite on defense. And since 2023, he's been shooting 43% from the 3. He's been really good this year, bro. And this is one of the reasons why I have them going back-to-back in the start of the season, because I don't think they lost that much. Because you have rookies like Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody, who was rookies last year, that were going to step it up. And that have stepped it up. And then you get Gary Payne Jr. back, who comes back tonight. I'm still scared of this team. Klay Thompson looks like the old Klay Thompson at home. I can't say it away. He looks kind of iffy. And that's one thing that a lot of people like to talk about is their away stuff. We got to understand, man, Steph Curry missed a lot of time. Draymond missed time. Andrew Wiggins has missed all the time in the world. Like, they haven't been healthy. So, of course, the road record is going to look terrible. But when you have Steph Curry, it's just... I'm sorry, you're going to hear me say his name a lot. It's just most of my faith in this team is in Steph Curry. And I think he's just that great of a player that he can carry. So, yes, they can win it. The next team where I feel like it can happen is the Phoenix Suns. You have 2 top-end players. You can do anything. And I know a lot of people like to feel like this is a super team. No, it's not a super team because the bench is very questionable. When you have Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, you can win. And I know I questioned Chris Paul a couple minutes ago, but if he's just relegated to being a playmaker, he's one of the best in the league at that, and that's just all he has to do. But I do have questions like DeAndre, and I do question their bench and their health. But when you just have 2 top 10 players, you can never really be counted out. So yes, for them, the Phoenix Suns, it can definitely happen. They can definitely win a championship. Now, the last team in the it can happen tier is obviously the Denver Nuggets. I don't see them as like a top tier contender, but I do think with Jokic they could possibly be that. But they do have some great flaws with Jokic defense in the postseason. Just their defense in general. I think they don't really have a specialist. Like when you look at other teams, of course the Bucks have all the specialists in the world. The Celtics have specialists, and Jason Tatum, which I think he's a specialist now. And when Rob Will is healthy, he's a specialist. When you look at the Warriors, you got Draymond. When you look at the 76ers, they have Joel Embiid, but this team doesn't have specialists, and that's one thing that you kind of need when it comes to winning championships. You need a defensive specialist, and they don't have that at all. But I'm not going to count them out, man. When you have Jokic, you're going to be amazing. And if we get playoff Jamal Murray, and I'm not talking about bubble because a lot of people think that's playoff Jamal Murray, which it can be, but like he's shown it the year before that where he was averaging 27 in the playoffs, which is not really his average. Like he steps it up in the playoffs. You get playoffs KCP, who was amazing in the Lakers finals run. You get Michael Porter Jr., who's just going to be consistent. Aaron Gordon, I was about to say Aaron Wiggins. Aaron Gordon, he's always going to be consistent. You get some pieces from your depth that can step up, like Christian Braun, like Bruce Brown, like Jeff Green, which is kind of crazy that you got to rely on Jeff Green coming up the bench. But still, they just have a really good team. But I'm scared about their defense. That's why I don't want to put them at the top of the top. But they do have one of them guys in Jokic. So if they was to win, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Now, for the last tier, which I have is the favorites, we have the Bucks and the Celtics. Obviously, the Celtics a little bit less than the Bucks. I wanted to put the Bucks in their own tier. I just felt like that was a bold take, so I'm going to stay away from that. But the Celtics, you have Jason Tatum. Y'all know how high I am on him. when it comes to the playoffs, I'm not taking that much players over him, especially after last year. Jaylen Brown, same thing. He's a perfect Robin for him. The one thing I question is Marcus Smart, but then I really don't give a damn about Marcus Smart when you have Derek White having a career year, you have Malcolm Brogdon having a career year. They just have pieces. Hopefully you can get a healthy Rob Will for the whole playoffs and not just spot games like it was last year. Al Horford just steps it up in the playoffs. And even this regular season, just feels like he hasn't been missing. My one thing is fatigue with him because he's 37. He's damn near played every game. So that's just my one question with him. And then my one question with the team as a whole is just, they remind me of the Utah Jazz, man. They're just so reliant on that three-point shot. When that shot not hitting, Jason Tatum was on his bullshit with the force twins. That's what I like to call Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, because when they force a lot of shots. We can be honest. They force a lot of shots, and when them 4 shots are not hitting, same with Donovan Mitchell. I say the same thing with him. When they not hitting, what the fuck are they doing? They're not going to break the defense, even though they're 6'7", 6'9". But that's my one question with them, just that system as a whole. And Joe Mazzulla, that's another good question. But everything else is pretty sad. Then for the Bucks, like I said, they're my glaring favorites. You have the best player in the world by far. You have the defensive player of the year. I don't think Jimmy Jackson is. I think it's Brook Lopez. Just watch Brook Lopez. He's fucking amazing. His career arc is weird, and it's not in a bad way. Like, he started off back to the basket guy, leading scorer in Nets history, just terrible on defense. And you go to the Lakers, now you're shooting threes, and they let you fucking go for fucking no reason. And then you're on the Bucks, and now you're in a perfect situation with Giannis. Now you're a sniper, and out of nowhere, and you just become this elite defender out of nowhere. Like, his career arc is crazy. But then you got Jrue Holiday and Chris Middleton, who Jrue Holiday has been good the whole season. Chris Middleton has been better as of late, and they're just so deep. You got Javon Carter, Bobby Portis, Jay Crowder, even a dude like Adrian Green. People probably don't know, but he's a sniper, averaging 27 in the G League. When he plays in the NBA, he's even shooting. Grayson Allen, Pat Connaughton, like, they're so fucking deep. Joe Ingles is just a needle mover. When you watch it, he's a needle mover. They just have everything, bro. They can beat you in many ways. Go small, go big, shoot the hell out the ball, dominate in the paint with Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez, Giannis. It's going to be hard for any team to beat them 7. So that's it for this video. Like I said, to me, I have the Bucks winning the whole thing. But yeah, that's the tiers, man. Hopefully y'all like the video. We drop more and more as the background and the setup gets more and more. If you got some ideas for posters, let me know. But other than that, man, I will talk to you guys later. Peace out.